got a Patreon.
Oh, you have a Patreon, Ian.
We have a Patreon. You want to know how to access it?
Ian, tell me. I forgot.
Go to patreon.com/CU podcast. You set up a system. You put in your information. They take your money, and we give you things in return.
Right.
We do the full video podcast.
Available.
Yes, the full video podcast is available. I do a hangout once a month. I do a writing once a week. Today something's going to go up about the annual marathon, the NES marathon.
Oh, I want to read that, Ian.
Yeah.
Memories. 10 of them. This will be our 10th one this year.
10th anniversary.
And you can vote on a Patreon poll topic.
Babby. Yeah, what do we got here?
Well, I try to be cute and only do 2 choices this week. So, tied for second and third place is what do you miss most about gaming conventions, along with not applicable, was also 24%. So in first place, what retro games that you don't like historically would you tweak to make better, Ian? And you can start with your topic from last week because we talked about this on the phone.
Did we?
Space Invaders.
Oh yeah, Space Invaders.
2
sure.
shots instead of 1.
2 shots.
You make Space Invaders 2 shots like Galaga, infinitely better experience.
Yes.
Talk about quality of life. I can get to the 4th or 5th stage now with 2 shots versus struggling and getting. I understand you wanted to eat all those quarters in Japan in the late 70s. 2 shots to my shooter. That's totally reasonable.
So I would change. The first thing I would change is the food mechanic in Gauntlet. So when I started thinking about this, I thought about a lot of I started to think about arcade games or games that I like in the arcade that obviously have mechanics that are to keep you putting quarters in. In Gauntlet, your energy meter constantly depletes if you're not eating. So
Sure, there's a decent amount of food though, but yeah,
if you take
you can't dilly dally.
Right, you can't dilly dally, and
Love that word.
if you start losing energy, you have to eat food. It's not based entirely just on skill. You can't just be good at avoiding the enemies. You also have to keep eating food, or you can put coins in to basically up your energy meter more. The other thing that I've always wanted to change in certain games, and I love beat 'em ups. But I've never been a huge fan of the special move depletes part of your life meter.
How would you handle it?
I would handle it the way Streets of Rage 4 handles it. Streets of Rage 4 handles it just about better than anything else I've seen. When you use a special in Streets of Rage 4, it drains a chunk of your life, but it shades it. And,
comes back.
and if you attack and you keep attacking after it shades, it'll build it back up until you get hit. And when you get hit, the rest of that shaded bar drops off.
So encourage the strategy of do a special, but still continue to fight.
So there's still risk. It still limits how often you can use it, but you can be good enough to actually work that into.
Wasn't developed as an arcade game, obviously.
Sure, but it's still difficult enough that you're going to use that special move and get punched in your face and lose a lot of life many times.
Is there a specific game you don't like that really you would see that implemented, or you mean in general you want to see that for Final Fight? And
I just think in general, I think it works very, very well. It's not like I don't like Final Fight, but I think that's an incredibly good way to implement the special move. It's still risk and reward without feeling like it's just a way to get you to keep popping the quarters in. I'd especially like to see something like that in the X-Men arcade game, which is one of my least favorite beat-em-ups, and I feel like it should be one of my favorites because of the theme, but I just never have liked how it played.
But you earn the specials in that don't cost you energy in X-Men.
Yeah, you get a stock.
You get a stock. I think you start with 1 and you get 1 after each level, so that's better. That's a halfway solution. Remember, they want to take your quarters, Ian.
Oh, I know.
They want to take your quarters. There's a way to not get hit too badly with some of those bosses, but some of those bosses, especially like in Ninja Turtles, you're gonna get hit. It's almost impossible not to get hit in Ninja Turtles arcade for some of those balls. You're gonna get wiped out by Bebop or whatever, or Shredder. I got one. Don't hate the game, but it annoys me because I always go in liking it. Rampage, buddy. Let me tell you, Rampage.
Ugh.
The monotony is out of any game that has a great premise, the monotony of Rampage.
It gets so boring so quick.
All Rampage had to do, not first of all, cut down the number of fucking levels, but change it up. How about every 6th level, there's a timed attack thing where you have to kill all the enemies in a certain amount of time. Maybe you put a boss in or like a different challenge, something to change this. It's a game like Rampage should not be a grind. A consistent, every stage takes a minute and a half grind to like give me something new, not just the environments or okay, now we have boats shooting at something different. Anything for that first Rampage game, then I would consider it a classic. To me, it's like, yeah, it's a nice game, but it's got issues.
It's one of my worst. It's one of my least favorite games ever.
So then you agree it has to be tweaked like that. You gotta do something like that.
Yeah, I remember my buddy and I sat down when we were kids over summer break and beat that game on the Nintendo. Use continues, and it took something like 3.5 hours.
It's insane.
And I remember thinking, wow, that seems like a long time. And I actually like looked it up online, and no, like the average the average like playthrough of that game is, it's incredibly fucking long, and you get no ending and nothing ever changes.
So they made it longer probably than the arcade game just to do it.
It's a very long,
that was the
drug out, boring game.
That was the only other Master System game I had besides Alex Kidd and Miracle World. You know how you make Alex Kidd and Miracle World better? First of all, you put the fucking punch button on the left and the jump on the right. That would be fantastic, not to do that bullshit again. But the memorization of rock, paper, scissors for your bosses, are you kidding me? And I had people trying to tell me with a straight face that the hardcore Master System fans there, when I did that video, Christmas video, saying, yeah, I like Alex Kidd, but there's issues. I had some people that try to say it was as good as Super Mario Brothers. I had people with a straight fucking face try to tell that to me, that Alex Kidd in Miracle World is as good of a game, or that it was better. That was like, what I did that video 5 years ago.
It is not.
Remember when you teleported in?
Yeah, it is not better.
And Frank was trying to make this truthfully.
It is not as good.
No, it's probably say above average game. Like if you want to say 3 stars, if I had a Master System scale, it's not a good game. But if you tweak it and don't put the punch on the right side, it's a lot better. And I heard there was a version of the game, I think maybe a pack-in version versus I think it was the cartridge had it incorrect, but the built into the Master System 2 sitting over there, they made it correct. Something like that, where they switched the button orientation depending upon version of the game. And holy shit, Sega, jump is always on the right. I'm trying to think of an NES game where the jump isn't on the right. Like you can't. It's almost like Nintendo said, you better put the jump on the right if you're doing a game.
Yeah, I can't think of one where they did it.
Can you think of one? Like, it's so rare of an occurrence, but for a marquee Master System title, it's inexcusable to do that. Plus, that punch is like so small in that game. It's like, come on. Can I jump on an enemy and do the punch? Give me
very small.
I'm trying to make Alex Kidd Miracle World a game I want to play again, because I don't want to play that game ever again because of these little mechanics. It looks cute. You got the motorcycle stuff. You get the power ups. You know, the boss stuff is a joke though. Come on, rock, paper, scissors, and then you got to memorize it for the next time to come back. So it punishes you. It's not even chance. It punishes you and forces you back to try to remember. Then you got to realize, oh, it's the same pattern again. Because then if you go random again, you might lose again. So it's nuts.
For me, I would also point out just a quick one. As much as I love the game, absolutely adore it. One of my favorite games of all time. It's only generally in a competitive way. I would release NBA Jam without the fucking awful rubber banding AI that constantly comes back to destroy you every single time.
You can turn it off
by programming.
You can turn that off though. Most of the versions.
No, you can't.
It's tournament mode. It's called.
You can't turn the rubber banding AI off. It usually does not turn off.
Even when you turn off tournament mode.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah. It's very, very. I mean, if you're playing against someone, it doesn't try to
just for single player.
Doesn't try. Yeah, I'm talking just for single player.
Okay, I gotta replay the Super Nintendo one again and see that. Okay, this isn't. Now we're going sports. Now they're coming to me. Baseball Simulator. The one thing that ruins the game, and I adore Baseball Simulator, is when you do the seasons and you simulate a computer versus computer matchup. It's not like baseball. It's not like Baseball Stars, which is magical. You hit a button, instant. It goes all the innings. You get the stats updated for the players. It actually, in Baseball Simulator, it takes you like 10 minutes to simulate a game. It's like maybe even 5 minutes. Either way, you can't get through a season with that because it shows you inning. It shows the lady with the scoreboard and the innings. You don't see the game being played. It'll just update each inning. Like, I'm talking like molasses.
Wow.
And that game came out after baseball starts. So they should have, hey, SNK, help us out here. How did you simulate your games quickly? What happened? What did you do? Like, I would love to, like, I'm sure it was just an algorithm that they used to say, okay, they know the averages and there's some randomness. But I mean, God, with baseball simulator, you might as well watch the game. It takes so long. They're showing it. Want to love that game. You can't play it. You can't play a season because of that. On an emulator, you could just like probably, press the 800x speed and go through it like you do with RPGs when you're grinding, but you can't get through it. It's a mess. Ian, how would you improve Wally Bear in the no game? Is there a way you can improve that? I mean,
more wallpaper.
More wallpaper?
More wallpaper. I just want the sky to be those apples in the background.
I think you should by default get the frisbee instead of
Yes, you don't need to pick that up. You should have that to start.
You should have a way to attack in the game by default in a game like that because you can't just hop on the dog's head. You get hurt. You should always have, I think, to me, a default attack in a platformer. I think that's going to be a rule, right? You should have a way to defend yourself in a platform.
Yeah, you should always have some sort of defense.
I think if you did that,
for the most part,
I don't care if it's a wiffle ball bat they give Wally Bear. Some way to make it a bit better there. Is there any else on NES? I'm trying to look at the shelf as a game that I'm like, oh, I love that game, but what are you doing? Chubby Cherub. You all right? Chubby Cherub shouldn't have a time limit to it.
Chubby Cherub just shouldn't.
It shouldn't have a thing where, oh God, I can't remember my own review. What happens to Chubby Cherub when it runs out? You have the fucking, you lose your strength or whatever. You got to walk on the ground and get the balloons. Yeah, it's a disaster. Chubby Cherub because of that. T&C. I don't know. Make the surfing a little bit less impossible in T&C.
Yeah.
Make it closer to how awesome the skateboarding is in T&C. I've gotten better. It's usually a marathon game every year, the surfing. I get to like the 4th or maybe 5th stage on surfing, but damned if I got to remember how I did it each time. Like what B and A actually does in the surfing, I can't even tell you what B and A does in that game. What makes you go faster or up? Like it seems random to me. You're gonna die. It's just you got to do tricks before you die.
I've seen people play it very well, so there's got to be something to it, but I don't know it.
I think you're supposed to just stay afloat, and then it's constantly slowly going to the right. So then when you finally go, you hit it. I adore that game for the sound design and the graphics and everything. But my Lord, that's a rough half and half on that. Oh, by the way, and plus you gotta, when you get to the end of the skateboarding, it's the same then stage that repeats. Mm-hmm. You keep going through it.
Just loops.
It's just like, oh man, so good. And bring back Cool Cat T&C. I'll buy merch today. For some reason they went away from in the 90s. What the hell was that? Oh my God, was that an Amber Alert? Oh, this is a merch alert saying don't go home because of COVID. Stay at home. So that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
So that's good. It's good. Yours didn't go off. I guess mine's not on private mode. It's on the moon. Anyway, anything else? How about a Genesis game? Any Genesis game that you can? Any Genesis game that you can improve that you don't like at all? You're the more Genesis guy than me.
No, my brain's turning to mush now. Thinking about this.
You got to think of a bad game in there. I got one for. How about Dragon's Lair? You give me more than a split second to think about something.
Sure.
Bring it back to Dragon's Lair.